Alright guys, next week is drag week registration, so it's time to get cracking. Today we're going to start with one of the most important things about a drag week car, and that is cup holders. So let's get fabricating. Alright guys, so I think we've knocked that out. These cup holders are designed for marine use, so hopefully they work out well in this boat. The next thing that we need to address is the whole trans brake activation situation. Currently I'm running a pretty simple setup. It's just an arcade switch that activates my trans brake. All it really does is apply 12 volts to my trans brake solenoid, and it's as simple as that. Now there's a couple problems with this. If you guys followed Sick Week, you know that they added a rule where you must have a less than 1 second reaction time when running your car down the track. If you go over 1 second, the difference will be added to your elapsed time. Obviously, nobody wants that to happen to them, so the goal is to get a less than 1 second reaction time. With the current arrangement, it's going to be pretty hard to accomplish that. Therefore, we need to add a trans brake controller. This way, I can spool the car up in the pre-stage and then bump the car into the full stage and be ready to go and hopefully launch the car with less than 1 second reaction time. So the arcade switch has to go. Also, another problem that I'm having with my trans brake switch is it's a little hard to reach. I got it. I can reach it. My dad probably can't. Most people probably can't. And when I say I can reach it, I can just barely reach it. So you know what's really cool? Indicator lights. The reason indicator lights are cool is they give you a very quick diagnostic view of what's going on with your car. Currently I have 5 indicator lights in my car. There is the shift light, there is the warning system level 2 light, there's the warning system level 1 light, launch control activated light, and traction control activated light. In some of the shots, you will notice that I have recently installed a Tinker digital dash. I'm going to do a more in-depth review of that in the future. That being said, with my digital dash, it kind of removes a lot of the needs for some of the indicator lights. I should be able to display the indicator lights on my dash, so there really isn't a need to have as many lights. That being said, I still want to keep a few, such as the launch control activated light. Now, the launch control activated light isn't particularly where I'd like to see that along the chain. I'd honestly rather see an indicator light telling me whether the trans brake solenoid is activated or not. The reason I like having an indicator light there is I like to see that my trans brake solenoid is actually activated so that I don't roll through the beams when I let off of the foot brake to start building boost. So we're going to rework my radio delete plate / indicator light holder / trans brake switch holder / switch panel to something a little more basic. So here's what I've come up with. This is a industrial based solid state relay. Now you notice on this little solid state relay right here there is an indicator light. That will tell me exactly what is going to my trans brake solenoid. So let's talk briefly about how a trans brake controller works. Basically, what you do is you send the trans brake controller two signals. You send it a trans brake hold input and a trans brake bump input. Then the trans brake controller has one output. This output is sent to a solid state relay, which activates your trans brake solenoid. When you press the trans brake hold button, it activates the trans brake solenoid, and then when you press the trans brake bump button, it deactivates the trans brake, and it normally pulses the trans brake solenoid in order to get a very smooth creeping of the car. Then when you are into the stage beam, you let go of the trans brake button, it deactivates the trans brake solenoid, and away you go. I'm not a huge fan of adding buttons to my steering wheel. Honestly, there's not really a good way to transfer the wiring through something that rotates. I hate having the stupid wires hanging off of your steering wheel. And there's some creative solutions out there, but I don't really want to get too complicated with it. So the problem is, when you stage the car, you need to have one hand on the steering wheel, and you need to have one hand on the trans brake. This makes it difficult to not mount the trans brake bump button on the steering wheel because you need to have that hand on the steering wheel. But I think I've come up with a creative solution to use my foot that is not doing anything in order to bump the car. Now, if you guys are familiar with Sean Ellington, otherwise known as Murder Nova, he competes on Street Outlaws, No Prep Kings, he's a really big name in the sport. On his Murder Nova, I noticed that he does something that a lot of people don't. When he hits the bump button, he actually presses the brake a little bit in order to keep the car from rocking when he hits the bump button. The reason that you want to do this is because if your chassis is oscillating a little bit, it may provide a little bit unpredictable launching of the car. So my thought was, why don't I use the brake light switch in order to activate my bump button? Therefore, I only need one hand, other hand's on the steering wheel, and I can use my other foot to pulse the brake, and hopefully it will bump the car nice and smoothly and keep the car from rocking. So let's get all this wired up, and I'll show you guys if it worked. Alright guys, so that went okay. I think using the foot brake as the bump button kind of worked. It may need a little bit of tweaking, and I may need to go to a different solution. What I found is, as the car was rocking, I was accidentally hitting the brake pedal sometimes, and having it bump twice when I only intended to bump once. This isn't really ideal for ET-based events. You want a shallow stage, as shallow as you possibly can, so that you can get the maximum rollout and the most initial velocity before you activate the timer. So we may have to put one of those silly buttons on my steering wheel, but we're going to see how it plays out. There's a few odds and ends to wrap up, such as the fuel tank and some other creature comforts, but we'll cover those in future episodes. One other thing that I wanted to make a quick announcement about is my dad and I are officially registered for the Midwest Drags as well. I'm very much looking forward to this event, and if you guys aren't familiar, it is an event that is very similar to Drag Week In fact, it features some identical classes to Drag Week. The rules for them are literally identical to Drag Week. The plan is to take this car as well as the Futura at this moment. If you guys are in the area at one of the tracks on the schedule, make sure you stop by and say hello. I'd be happy to meet some of you fans out there. And we'll be making at least 2 passes a day, so it is pretty likely that if you want to see one of these 2 cars make a pass on the drag strip, you'll have the opportunity. There are still quite a few spots open for Midwest drags, so if you have a car that runs faster than a 1050, make sure you go to their website and consider entering the event. With Drag Week registration being next week, for a lot of people, they may not get in, and I imagine those spots are going to fill up pretty quick. If you're interested in the drag and drive type events, make sure you go and check them out. Really looking forward to participating.